The history of voiceover in Nigeria dates back to the history of broadcasting in Nigeria. Most voiceover artists at the early stage of the voiceover career came from the radio station. They were radio broadcasters. Radio broadcasting is like a Siamese twin with voiceover, unlike television broadcasting. You ask me, when did voiceover start in Nigeria? And we are talking indirectly about how and when broadcasting started in Nigeria, right from the days of Radio Diffusion Service, RDS, with metamorphose into Nigerian Broadcasting Service, and then later Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation.
Hi, and welcome to the Everything Voiceovers podcast. I'm T-Code, an African voiceover talent from Nigeria, and this is my podcast where I take on voiceover topics from an African perspective. In this episode, my guest is veteran voiceover actor and one-time president of the Association of Voiceover Artists, Mr. Ehi Omokhuale. We discuss the history of the voiceover industry in Nigeria and the rise of AVOA. Sit back and enjoy this episode.
Hello guys, welcome to another episode of the Everything Voiceovers podcast, the African perspective. It's me again, T-Code, and as always, I bring on the podcast amazing personalities who do voiceovers as a career, and they've excelled in the profession of voiceovers in Nigeria, in Africa, wherever in the continent. We have great conversations. Now today, as you must have listened to the last episode, I had a professional voiceover artist, a veteran in the industry, and today I am having this conversation again with another veteran in the industry. Very similar conversation we'll be having like last week, more like a follow-up or a continuation, but then we're digging deeper into the history of the voiceover industry in Nigeria. As you must have enjoyed last episode, you'll be curious to know what's up with voiceovers. May not be as long as the former episode, but then we'll have some interesting conversations. My guest on the podcast today is a one-time president of the Association of Voiceover Artists of Nigeria, and he's been an executive for the longest. He would be in the best position, or he's probably one of those who are in the best position to give us a feel of what the voiceover industry in Nigeria has been over the past few decades. I'm talking about no other person than Mr. Ehi Omokhuale. It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Good day. It's good to be here.
Mr. Ehi has always been in many conversations surrounding voiceovers in Nigeria when I have them with my mentors, and I used to wonder what his role has been to be so influential, but then I have him in front of me. So Mr. Ehi, we'll be talking more about the industry, your career as an individual, and your impact in the industry. Let's start with you. As a voiceover artist, how did you begin your journey?
It all started in school. We used to sneak out to radio houses, TV houses to look for jobs, acting jobs, mainly. Early 80s, I was in the Yaba College of Technology. Even after youth service, I came back, went to Unilag. From Unilag, we used to sneak out to go to NTA. We used to sneak out to go to Radio Nigeria, Ikoyi, to take part in radio drama programs, And right there, one or two of the producers who was into voiceover production, I'm talking about late Bruno Wabo and Peter Onaivi, they said, "You this young man, you can do voiceover. I'll take you to the studios to study it." And they brought me to our Midito studio and handed me over to the chief sound engineer in Midito studios in those days in Surulere. And that was how it began.
And you've been doing voiceovers since the 80s?
Since the 80s, yeah. Then started getting better and better on it, learning from the masters.
So when you say the masters, who were the masters there?
Oh, many. And that is the nature of this job. You have to learn on the job. It's not something you come and you want to become a superstar overnight. You have to watch great voiceover artists perform. People like Femi Showolu, people like Bola Makinde, he's in the UK now. People like Tokumbo Dekunle, alias Obalinde Suya, became Mr. Obalinde Suya in the UK. Elijah Deyemo. These are big time old names that we met. We used to follow them around. And Mr. Isaac Ijoma, who was specialized in pidgin voiceover, because in voiceover you specialize in the language that you are very proficient in. So Isaac Ijoma, the pioneer president of Association of Voiceover Artists, AVOA, was specialized in pidgin voiceover rendition as well as Igbo. So what I was mentoring me in pidgin voiceovers. So I used to follow him around, and after some time, he started giving me the early jobs, little jobs. Okay, you take these 2 lines and join me. Take these 2 lines, myself and a couple of other young voiceover artists those days. Not only him, Mr. Tony Sentaik, late now, was an actor too at this popular program, Second Chance. He was also so good in pidgin. So all those people, all those veterans who were so good in pidgin voiceover, I started learning from them. And then certain principles, there are a lot of principles and techniques that help in any language you're doing, pidgin, English, Igbo, Yoruba, any of the languages, as long as it's called voiceover. So those principles hold sway. So started learning from them. And later, when AVOA became formed, we started organizing workshops. So veteran broadcasters and voice trainers started coming to train us from time to time, periodically, on the principles and techniques, theory, practicalities, and secrets of voiceover rendition. So that's it.
So you mentioned one name that stands out, very famous, if I must say, in Nigeria, Mr. Femi.
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
Amongst the other names that you mentioned, I assume they are also...
Yes.
Or to assume that voiceovers was a career amongst...
Thank you very much. Now, let me go to that. This will take me to the history of voiceover in Nigeria. The history of voiceover in Nigeria dates back to the history of broadcasting in Nigeria. Most voiceover artists at the early stage of the voiceover career came from the radio station. They were radio broadcasters. Radio broadcasting is like is a Siamese twin with voiceover, unlike television broadcasting, because in radio broadcasting you are talking to the microphone every day. The way you stand behind the microphone, the way you caress the microphone, the way you make the microphone give you what the client wants you to give them about the brand. So radio broadcasting is so synonymous with voiceover. There are very few television newsreaders, broadcasters, but radio mainly. So we can say, if you ask me when did voiceover start in Nigeria, then we are talking indirectly about how and when broadcasting started in Nigeria, right from the days of Radio Diffusion Service, RDS, with metamorphose into Nigerian Broadcasting Service, and then later Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation, and then later in 1978, the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria. So voiceover artists at that time were coming from these radio stations and state-owned radio stations as well. State-owned, there were a few state-owned broadcasters in state-owned radio stations around the Southwest who are also voiceover artists. So when clients, advertising agencies needed voiceover artists, they would source from these stations. Then there was no association of voiceover artists. It was informal. They were operating individually. I mean, the voiceover artists, they were operating individually. And the producers of advertising agencies used to go looking for them where they gathered. And they usually gathered around studios, popular studios. So that was how it started. And that leads me to the history of AVOA. Association of Voiceover Artists. In the year 2000, some of those old hands, all of those old voiceover artists who were in those radio stations as broadcasters, as staff members of radio stations, as artists in those radio stations, some had gone, had passed on, some remained, and a new group of people came up. So in the year 2000, a popular studio that I mentioned earlier, Middleton Studio, was in Surulere. It was like a beehive of activities for production of music, advertisement, radio adverts, radio drama, documentaries, and you have whatever you can say about media productions, media content production. So they used to gather around a place called Dodo Williams off Razak Balogun in Surulere. That was where we young ones joined them. Then there was no association of voiceover artists. It was just a gathering of voiceover artists. Those producers, those clients used to come around looking for them at that time. Then in 2002, we now formed the Association of Voiceover Artists. It was not the old brigade that formed AVOA. The second generation formed the association. It was just a gathering of voiceover artists. They were veterans. They included some of the names I mentioned earlier: Femi Showolu, Bola Makinde, Tony Sentak, Isaac Iyoma, Alaji Adeyemo, many of them like that. One or two of them were still around. Ali Usman is still our member. He's so old. So, in 2002, the Association of Voiceover Artists, AVOA, was formed, precisely on the 2nd of May 2002, and that was when we got our certificate from Abuja. And we were still hanging around the Middleton studios, and we started putting heads together that we needed our own place. So on the 5th of April 2004, we moved to where we are right now. Number 1, Okolawa Jai Street, Masha, Surulere. We're still here. This is our secretariat, where we have studios. And later we built a gazebo, a realization pavilion for our members. Later we said, okay, our producers who patronized our studios could come and use the place while waiting to work in the studio. And then later we opened it up to creative people in the creative industry, entertainment industry, to come and relax, like our artist mates, and not for outsiders in quote.
I needed clarity at some point, but you mentioned that there was a first generation.
Yeah.
Because just entering the reception, there are pictures of old or past as of AVOA. Yeah. One started from 1990, I think.
Yes.
So I was wondering.
The only person there that belonged to the old generation was Isaac Iyoma, the pioneer president. Yeah. It was not him that led us here. It was after him we had Kevin Ushi as president, and it was during his tenure that we came here. Yeah, the pioneer president had passed on then.
And then you started getting members?
Yeah, when we started conducting auditions for the first time. The old brigade, there was no association, so they had no need to conduct auditions and bring in new people. So when the association was formed, and then shortly 2 years after we came here as our secretariat, we started to conduct auditions from time to time to bring in new members, because there were no permanent champions. The old must fizzle out and the new ones must come in, whether you like it or not.
For posterity's sake, I tend to ask questions a lot.
Yes.
Because in the last episode with Ambrose,
yes,
he mentioned that in 1997 he had the first audition,
yes,
and then he didn't pass. And then in 1998 he passed the audition. He started going with them to agencies.
Yes.
So there was some sort of similitude of audition before the the association itself started?
Informally. It wasn't. It was very informal. All the formal steps and activities kicked off after we registered the association. Yeah, informally. Yes, I am.
Because I hear names like yourself, Auntie Daphne.
Yes. Daphne and Atari Robots. Yeah. Now Ben or Kagwe. Yeah.
I want you to tell me about the experience so far, over 20 years of AVOA existing. Should be 21 years right now.
Yeah.
What has been the journey, the challenges, the opportunities, the experiences with members, with agencies? I'd like you to, because I understand that you don't have much time to spend on this.
It's all right.
As much as you can tell me, right? If I break the questions, pencil.
Yeah.
So just.
The journey has been very rough. The dwindling Nigerian economy makes it even rougher. We are in the supply arm or ancillary arm of the advertising industry. So the advertising practice affects us. The policies, the people who are in charge of the advertising regulation, whatever they do, affects us.
Sorry to cut you here.
Yeah.
So sorry about this. There's a perception held by some voice talents that AVOA is an offshoot, or maybe would I say Archon, which used to be
Archon,
is more like the mother body that governs, maybe not directly, AVOA. Now you're saying that we are kind of like
that's
so.
Is it? Yeah, we are in the sub sector. We are in the ancillary arm, the supply arm.
So what's the nexus between
and
AVOA?
Yeah. We are advert broadcasters. We broadcast adverts. Yeah, among other things. Because Voiceover is a subset of voice acting. Yeah, you use your voice to drama, to documentary, act, to compare, but Voiceover mainly for commercials. So when it comes to commercials, advertisements, to broadcast adverts, you can't operate outside the policies of the advertising industry regulators. So that's exactly what I said, is exactly what I mean in other words. So they control what happens in the voiceover practice. And that is why we try as much as possible to be compliant with the rules of advertising practice. We try, because most of our clients are advertising agencies, and the owners of the advertising agencies, most of them are members of ARCON. So we depend on ARCON to help make things easy for us, for our members and our association. But the challenge there is that most of these advertising agency owners are members of ARCON. So they haven't been so forthcoming in giving us a level playing ground and making the environment very conducive for our practice. For instance, we tried to make sure that, like in same climes, when we do jobs, our jobs there are two levels of payment in same clients. You pay for the performance fee and the usage fee. Performance fee is one-off in the studio, while we're in the studio. Then royalties, the usage fee. Up till now, it has been very difficult to get the regulatory body to help push it. It's been very difficult. In fact, there are other great aspects of a voiceover career that make the job very interesting, like exclusivity contracts. You hardly see it. You see one person doing voiceover for 3 competing brands, and they all go on air. You know, those days, even at the early time when it wasn't when the economy wasn't too bad like this, you know, there used to be, actually, we had somebody like Jaya Bodeni whose voice was exclusively bought for MTN. We had 1 or 2 other voices, even the Daphne, Atelier Robots, those days that you mentioned. Airtel, you know, pay you for this campaign period, don't do any competing brand, like, you know, those telecoms jobs, and just how much. But it became weak. So those are the challenges. And late payments by advertising agencies. The Association of Advertising Agencies, AAAN, is another problem. I talked about ARCON. Association of Advertising Agencies is another one. We used to hold meetings with them regularly to talk to their members to make sure that they keep to the conditions and contracts of work. It's been difficult. They hardly keep to them. So when people you are going to report to and they are not forthcoming in helping you, what do? You just manage the situation. And that is how it's been. This situation.
But then I also learned that there have been legal issues or bouts where AVOA, where AVOA would take certain bodies or agencies maybe to court or something.
No, it's only in some individuals. Yeah, not AVOA as an association. I'm not aware of that. But we've had a few individuals, a couple of them, individuals who had done that. Yes, not AVOA as an association.
And then there's also the talks of blacklisting, that when certain people try to fight for the rights, they've been blacklisted.
Yeah, that is true. I had been blacklisted before, especially when I was president, because during my tenure, we got our lawyer to write all advertising agencies and write upon a copy of the necessary bodies. What did we say we wanted? We didn't say, we didn't take them to court, we just wrote them. We asked our lawyer to write, so that maybe it's for them to take us more seriously. That, number 1, non-members of AVOA should not be patronized. Patronized members of AVOA who have constituted themselves into this this aspect. We have become an integral part of this advertising practice. We are integral in this practice of advertising in Nigeria. Don't patronize them. It's liable. They won't. They'll patronize even their members, sometimes their staff, you know. We wrote them about, we told the lawyer to also mention the issue of withholding tax. You pay our members after they do jobs for you, and you remove some percentage, you call it withholding tax. And in law, you give tax receipts when you deduct such, so that there will be no double taxation. They can present these tax receipts to the tax offices, so that they will know that they are paying tax in this breath. Not that you say you remove a percentage, you call it withholding tax, and you don't give tax receipts. Those were the areas we asked our lawyer to write them, to remind them. We didn't want to write ourselves. We asked the lawyer to write all of them, copy the regulatory bodies, so that they will know these people are serious. That was what we did.
And then you got blacklisted.
Yeah, they thought we were, they got their lawyer to write us, yeah, so those people who are, that is a very, that's one of the prizes paid for leading an association, a group, or but no problem. We didn't die of hunger, but you know, but God has a way of compensating. Yes.
This is this, and okay, for the sake of information, when did this happen?
When I was president, that was 2011, 2012, because I left 2016. Yeah.
One of the reasons why I asked is that even at those times, it meant that advertising agencies worked strongly with. Now, what is happening in today, 2023?
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's still the same, because you mentioned that then you wrote advertising agencies to know.
To patronize our members, and then to stop patronizing quacks.
It doesn't also imply that non-members of AVOA were necessarily quacks. I mean, they probably were very.
So actually, that's a very good one. Some non-members were not quacks at all. Yeah, they weren't just members. So when Alhaji Garba Kankarofi was Registrar Chief Executive Officer of Advertising Practitioners Council of Nigeria, now ARCON, Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria, we had a meeting with him to empower us to make sure we picket non-members and make sure all our members only get jobs, or most of them get jobs. They were very cooperative at that point. They were cooperative verbally, but we insisted they put it in writing, the empowerment. And Alhaji Kankarofi did that. So we now came back to the association, said we should not be so combative. We now have the power to picket and stop non-members from working anywhere they are. But we now realize that some of them were not quacks, they were good. We now decided, the executive of AVOA, led by me then, now decided after we had, we decided, we met with the general house and told them what we wanted to do. They gave us the go-ahead. We now decided, okay, let's talk to these non-members who were good, who were not quacks. Let's put that line. Let's appeal to them. Let's talk to them to come and join. That we had the option of being, but we decided, so we started talking, we designated ourselves, we gave assignments, different areas of Lagos and around, and talk to these people. You go and talk to people, and we got results. Oh many. So it wasn't combative, so many joined.
Another era, an era where just AVOA members were getting
from agencies. So many joined, but we still had some non-members, very few members. It's really, and then radio stations, or OAP, on their personalities. We also told them, if they want to do voiceover, come and join. It's one of the things, one of our prayers then.
And this happened in the 2010s.
Yes. 11, 12, 13, yeah.
Although it was the late
2010, yes.
It's quite interesting to see how influential AVOA was
at the time.
But what's the perspective that I see this from? That AVOA was highly influential in Lagos. And I don't know about other states. There are 36 states in Nigeria. But then the idea that AVOA could coordinate the entire voiceover industry in Nigeria from Lagos was quite, would I say, a daunting task.
Yeah.
Because in every other state, people were doing voiceovers because the radio stations existed.
Yeah.
So we saying because I would believe that it was a free market every other place.
Yes.
And then they would use their rates.
Yeah.
So how influential would AVOA had been at those times? I mean, did you see this lasting, going across the borders of Lagos?
Yeah, we got before I go to that, let me quickly mention that APCON then, we pestered them and got them to see the need for this regulation. And the vet adverts going on radio, it got to a point we gave our APCON members list of AVOA members. If we updated, we will send to them. So anybody who came, any client who came to vet, they will ask. They knew some of the voices, the main popular voices. The voices they didn't know, they will ask, who is that? Or they will not check in the list. They were helping us to that during Garbak and Karofi. Check what do you call his name, who did this job. If the job wasn't too well, they were doing that for us. But when Garbak and Karofi left, and then I don't know, and one or two other factors, and that stopped. Now, talking about other states, how influential we were in other states, right? That time we were appealing, we didn't combat and appeal to non-members to join. We went outside Lagos too. Many people, just a few, not many, joined from outside Lagos, from Abeokuta, nearby states, not the far-flung states. Abeokuta, Ibadan, they're still our members still today. I don't want to mention names, they're there. And we were always coming for meetings from those states. And even when I left, the incoming executive tried also to continue where we stopped, to make sure we had branches in major cities in Nigeria, if not in all the cities. So, I remember there was a time we said, okay, anywhere there was a Ratau office, AVOA should be there.
Ratau, for context, is...
Yes, as radio and television workers union, something. I remember a couple of us were assigned to travel around those states, especially the major cities, Abuja, what I call them, to look at Ratau offices. Yes, but continuity,
All of this shows that AVOA has really been working.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that? I know it's quite about how big time AVOA kind of lost that influence and strength.
Yeah. It's nobody to blame, really. When the economy goes down in any part of the world, one of the sectors to be affected first is the advertising industry. And when the advertising industry is affected, voiceover practice must be affected. And you agree with me that the last 10, 8 years, it's been the economy has been, when the advertising companies, the advertisers have no money to advertise because they advertise with their profits, make profit, and that's what they do. But if they are not making profit, as much as they won't promote, they won't do promotions. So that is it. Many advertisers have left Nigeria. Many advertising companies have left Nigeria because of that. Some advertising agencies have gone into extinction because they were handling their brands and all that. So there used to be grant advertising, promoter advertising. There used to be many those advertising agencies. Those, we don't know hears of them anymore. Even the big ones, it's only one or two.
Well, beyond the advertising agencies being retaliated and everyone, I understand that when there's a problem, people find ways around. And it seems to me that what AVOA has banked on for the longest time has been agencies. Then came a crop of voice actors who were members of AVOA and had to survive. Yeah. And they've been learning how to survive without the agency, without those.
Yeah, without voiceover.
Exactly. And now they've proliferated in the voiceover space.
Yes.
And so is there, do you see a possibility where AVOA is going to sort of coordinate the affairs of the voiceover industry with the inclusion of people who don't necessarily get jobs from agencies? Because at the end of the day, if people can do jobs and survive as actors without agencies, there begs the need or the question for why should I join AVOA? Yeah. So how would AVOA adapt it?
And in successive voice training workshops that we've had, not only during my tenure, other executives. We've been organizing voice training from time to time. We've been instilling it in our members, especially the relatively new members, to look outside voiceover alone. We now talk about voice acting. Yeah, to expand the use of our voice. Because voiceover is just one aspect of voice acting. Radio drama is there, documentary, writing. It was when I became serious in voiceover work that I started learning to write. I do more writing these days than voice acting. So we always told them in those workshops, and the resource persons that we invited always told them also how to diversify. You learn how to use your voice to do other jobs, not only voice over. So the advertising agencies don't have to hold your survival to ransom. We can cook programs. We can give ourselves, we talk about giving ourselves jobs and looking for collaborators, partners, sponsoring bodies, partners and things. And we did that before. And we need to do more. The current executive, led by Segun Arinze, has been running from here to here to make sure more members get jobs to do outside the advertising agencies. Yeah, this studio we're in, we used to have about 4 radio drama programs here. At the same time, many of our members who didn't have radio drama background like us, we trained them because radio drama helps voice over. It helps, if you're very good in radio drama, your voiceover rendition will be very good. So many of them have been trained in the art of dramatizing on radio. So, yeah, AVOA members.
Benefits at the time and even till now.
Yes, the association fixes rates, standard rates. When they know you are an AVOA member, the clients and the producers, they won't deride you. They won't want to pay you peanuts. Some of them deliberately go out of their way to look for non-members so they can pay them peanuts. So an AVOA member, the status of being an AVOA member, yeah, it is. Some of them, you go to embassies and the embassies requirement, they ask you which other association do you belong. You don't belong to anywhere. Those people are not like us, the Western world. They recognize and appreciate professional membership of professional associations. So many of them have come to collect letters and they're born. Some of our members are outside the country as we are talking. They may not be coming to meetings regularly. They send their dues. Some of our members, some of them got letters from AVOA, and some of AVOA members operate individually, though we controlled by policies and laws of the association and conditions, So when you go anywhere, as an individual, as an independent practitioner in the industry or subsector, and you say you're an AVOA member, your proposal gets a boost. You can't hide. Yeah, you belong to a prestigious association.
Professional body.
Exactly. Yeah.
But this is going interesting, and I don't want to keep you longer than expected. So I just have a last point of call before we just round off this conversation.
Yeah.
At some point, there were rankles here and there. Some people felt they were not satisfied with the way things were going, and according to the stories I've heard and questions I've asked. And 2 things happened. Some people just stayed on their own, not minding what was going on. some people decided to create something else, another body, and hoping that they can write what they term wrong from AVOA.
Yeah.
How has AVOA handled or responded or reacted to this? And do you really think it's good for the industry if we have bodies that are trying to do the same thing?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it is. People have the rights to express themselves as individuals, as groups. Yeah, we had that. What our members, what we told ourselves was, let's keep swearing. Let's keep doing the right things. Let's keep doing great things. That one will keep you above everybody or any other. There's no place where you have human beings. Human beings are the most complex creatures on earth. If you like, be 100% perfect, there will be one human being that will tell you are not doing anything. We think it takes it, they do self. We think it takes it, they do self. We think them be. So you will always see such. But we decided to forge ahead, to do great things that even they can't match. They can't match it. A couple of those people who decided to branch out, how many times have you heard about the group they formed and things? And keep going. We have seamless transitions. When the new executive came under Shegwarinze, new ideas came, and we are all over the place. Everybody's hearing about us, and they're still on. They've spent just almost 2 years now. By the time they spend 4 years, in fact, many people would love to be in AVOA, So, there's a proverb that is saying, the eagle, when one of these small birds who want to perch on it, to egg a live in your house, so just to eat, and they perch on the eagle is so big you can't wish it away. The eagle keeps flying and soaring higher and higher and higher, and it gets to an altitude that those little ones can no longer survive because of the atmosphere and the oxygen shortage, and they fall off. Those pests, that's what I was looking for, pests, they fall off with the eagle. They keep going higher and higher and higher, and oxygen becomes more and more scarce up there as the altitude increases, and those pests fall off. They fall off naturally. So that's what we decided to do. That's what we met and decided and dropped minds in a couple of general meetings. We said, leave everybody to do what they want to do, but let's keep doing great things. And that's why we are still so relevant till today. You can't even hear of, I'm not even aware, I've not heard of any other group since that 1 or 2 persons decided to do that. I've not heard about them. Yeah.
Interesting. This is a rare privilege for me to have to have your time to be on my podcast, and I've learned a lot as
Ambrose Mosi.
And I'm also looking forward to interviewing personalities like you who have been in AVOA or even out of AVOA, but then the whole I would say they're custodians of the history of voiceovers from the different. I'm going to drop my own thoughts as someone who belongs to a newer generation of voices. We grew up hearing your voices, Ambrose, all of that, and we're inspired. But then I think that the industry has really grown bigger than how it was anticipated. In the older.
Exactly. I feel in these days of so we want young people like us, like you, to bring technology to bear and digitalize some of those analog things you met. Yes. And we will be ready. The new old generation will be ready to learn from you, and we've been learning. Yes,
and even we have to learn.
That's it. Life is give and take.
If we don't do that, we would.
Yeah, because if you don't know where you are coming from, you may miss your way.
I think there's a need for a bridge here. And the truth is, in my generation, people are not so much interested in associations or stuff because they believe that once they can do it on their own.
Yeah, just ahead.
But for instance, last year when Akon banned foreign
yes,
of many
individuals,
dependent voice talents, and they weren't real.
Yeah.
And the thought came to me that we can only complain because we don't sit at the table that decisions are being made.
Yeah.
And if we want to make positive decisions that will affect us as a body industry, we need to be there. We need to make our contribution.
That's right.
We can't sit down in our houses and expect some folks to work day and night to make an industry work, and we have no input. We don't pay them any salary to say do this for us.
That's right.
We just relaxing, and then tomorrow they make a decision that don't favor us, and we complain again.
Yeah.
So that's why personally, I've been making more efforts.
Yeah.
To learn from. It's not about being I'm a member of AVOA. That's not the point.
Yeah.
Is understanding what are the challenges of the industry and striving to make it better. I don't know the story of those who branched out from AVOA or left AVOA to start something, but I quite think that maybe their own honesty too. It was as a result of wanting the better for what it.
That's right.
So I wouldn't really, I don't know the stories behind that, but then I'm just saying that as much as possible, whatever anybody is doing, if we can see this as an industry and see the need to contribute to our efforts. God bless whatever you're doing individually, your solo organizations, I love that. But if we care about the progress of the industry and the stakeholders in it, let's do something in any way possible, any way you're inspired to make the industry work. So thank you very much for your time, Mr. Ehi Omokhuale.
Thank you.
To justify this interview, you were the president of AVOA from what?
From 2011 to 2006. Before then, to 2016. Yeah, before then, I was vice president. From 4 years before 2011 was that I was vice president. Yeah, 2007 to 2011, I was vice president when Daphne Aterobos was president. Before then, 4 years before then, I was public relations director. I was public PRO. We call it publicity director. So that was 2003 to 2007. So I've been in the executive since I was PRO since 2003. So I never stepped out till 2016. Yes, yeah. Ex officio. Well, executive, ex officio. I begged them. Yes. So that was some of them. When you see they call me, what do they call me? President emeritus. Some of them they just tease me. President emeritus. And then I stop that. The other president, I had to tell them, look, after 2016, I need my life. I don't mean be doing things on my own because AVOA is not funny at all. It's very, very interesting but very tasky.
Said it this interview, but like a few weeks.
Yes. Yes.
Unfortunately, people don't see this thing.
Yes.
And nobody would do it perfectly.
Nobody.
Everybody would make some.
Exactly. And then the next person will come and do it better and continue from there, do something better.
I do respect your
Thank you.
Appreciate or they give it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Tululokwe. Kolade T-code.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that T-code. Thank you so much. It's good to be here. It's been wonderful.
Yeah, thank you too. So I think this is it, guys. Myself and Mr. Ehi just shook hands. So this is the end of the interview of the podcast. This episode has been beautiful. Let me know what you think. wherever you're listening to it from. If you're on YouTube, if it's on any platform, podcast platform that allows you to comment, just drop some nice words. You can also follow us on social media at Everything Voiceovers, and you can drop your comments, in the post that follows this. I'd love to hear what you have to say. My name is T-Code, and next week will be another episode. I'm hoping I can continue this history or historical episodes to find out about the industry. But then, this is all I can say. Well, see you next week. Till then, I'll say keep voicing and then do something extra, care about your industry, and do something to make it better. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, leave a comment, and tell someone about it. Follow the podcast on Everything VOs on all social media platforms. Thanks for listening and see you on the next episode. This podcast is a Coded Voiceovers production.